right now on Chronicle.
We have $800, which is exactly what we need for rent. But then we're not going to eat. Oh, man.
Hard choices are happening every day here in Central Florida in a startling amount of homes or wherever families can find to lay their heads.
All up and down 192 are full of families.
Tonight, we're examining more of the factors feeding Central Florida's housing crisis, from a population busting at the seams.
That's a massive amount of new people, and we're not developing nearly enough to keep up with that demand.
To the burden just getting back and forth to work puts on low-wage workers.
Advice for people who have to take the bus.
And at least give yourself at least a 2-hour window if you're going anywhere.
This is WESH 2 Chronicle, Project Community.
Welcome to Chronicle. I'm Jim Payne. It seems wherever you go in Central Florida these days, something is under construction. The interstate, high rises, and a sea of new communities are sprouting where pasture and orange groves once stood. All of it to cope with the crush of people who want to call Central Florida home. The latest projections show 1,500 people a week moving here. Where are they going to work? Where are they going to live? And how are they going to get back and forth? We continue to explore all of that with Chronicle Project Community. First up, the housing situation. We have the very latest data about homes and living costs for Central Florida. And the numbers paint a really bleak picture of our future. In our 8-county region, we are currently short more than 108,000 affordable homes. For some perspective, consider this. From 2000 to 2017, the greater Orlando area added just over 165,000 rental units at all price points. At that pace, it would take 11 years to make up for the housing shortfall, but only if no one else moved here. Which brings us to the dilemma cities and counties face today. How to fast-track thousands of homes that people can afford to build and rent. Here's Gail Pasco-Brown.
So it's going to be a corner lot.
It's a corner lot?
Yeah, it's going to be a corner lot right here. And pretty much the other houses will start going this way.
The last time we spoke with Wanda Welch and her sons, Nathan and Jay Sean, they were at their lot in Pine Hills, where their new Habitat for Humanity home will be built. It was a huge pile of dirt.
Where's the front of your house? Show me where the front
of the house will be right here.
But somehow we could see the finished product.
The front will be over here. The garage will be to the right of the door. And then the master bedroom. And then the boys' room will be in the back of the house. And then, of course, the backyard is right there.
So this mound is part of the kitchen?
This mound, yes, I see it. You see it?
I see it. I see it.
Just being out there, it just made everything feel real. Like, this is really happening. This is my lot. This is my land. This is where our home is. I don't want to say mine because it's ours.
It will be theirs next spring. Construction should be done in March. Then typically it takes about 2 months to close. Wanda used to rent a townhouse, but in 2017, the property owner was foreclosed on, leaving Wanda and her boys searching all over for a place of their own. This Orange County school teacher couldn't find anything she could afford.
Orange County rent is pretty expensive. And when I say expensive, $1,800, $1,900, $2,000, $1,300 one-bedroom apartments. But I'm blessed to have a family.
Right now, the three live with Wanda's mother in her 3-bedroom, 2-bath house. Wanda's 2 uncles also live there.
Oh, yeah.
One of the reasons we're in this housing mess,
you need your stuff for school?
There just aren't enough places to live at any price point. When it comes to affordable housing for middle and low-income families, the numbers are bleak. Just in Central Florida, in order to house all the people and families who need a place to live, we'd need more than 108,000 homes. That figure is called rental unit deficit. And in all of Central Florida, Orange County has it worst.
We've seen unprecedented population growth.
Absolutely.
And it's projected to increase, I think just in Orange County alone, by 46% by 2040.
Chip Tatum is CEO of the Apartment Association of Greater Orlando. It's like the Chamber of Commerce for the apartment industry.
That's a massive amount of new people, and we're not developing nearly enough to keep up with that demand.
The average family cannot afford
Tatum also sits on the Orange County Housing for All Task Force. Mayor Demings convened the group and tasked them with developing real, actionable solutions to the housing crisis. Chip Tatum sits on the Design and Infrastructure Subcommittee. Their focus is on policy and land development code changes. Their task, spurring housing for all types of development in Orange County.
There's a huge emphasis on not just creating more affordable housing, but creating more housing in general, which we would agree with is the right strategy.
Our local housing needs.
The task force work isn't done yet, but Tatum shared with us some of the changes they're exploring to increase the quantity of places to live. Things like flexibility in building requirements that would allow for smaller apartments.
Around 400 square feet is kind of the minimum. Well, there's other markets in the country that have 200 square feet or somewhere in that neighborhood, and that's where you start to see some of these more efficiencies, community living, and providing some opportunities to put more units in a smaller area and kind of create some naturally occurring affordable housing there.
Another idea to create density
is providing homeowners the opportunity and more flexibility with creating accessory dwelling units. So think that apartment above the garage or the granny flat and things like that.
And yet another idea is borrowing from a concept being used in California.
It's taking some of these, people might call McMansions or things like that, and converting those into like small scale apartment community studio type rooms as well, and creating more naturally occurring affordable housing that way. So, and that's something other markets are doing and seeing some success with.
We asked Tatum about other communities also struggling with affordable housing. We wanted to know who the task force was looking to for examples of success stories.
I think that Charlotte has a pretty strong program. They've been looking a lot at that. And their program surrounds creating a pool for affordable housing of money that's administered through the city of Charlotte, but funded through bonds. And so like Bank of America, I believe, is a huge contributor to that, but it's a private sector, public sector solution. It's something that they're working on together. And they've been able to bring quite a few units out of the ground with that.
Tatum shared with us a housing affordability toolkit by his organization and the Florida Apartment Association. It outlines the cause of Florida's housing affordability problem and some solutions.
Our development community responded pretty commandingly that if there was some flexibility with impact fees in exchange for obviously a set aside of a certain amount of affordable housing, however that may look, I think there's some real possibilities on that front.
Impact fees are what local government charges a developer to pay for some of the public services and infrastructure the new development will have access to. Things like roads and parks, police and fire. The school district gets a portion too. Developers argue if impact fees weren't so high, they could build more affordably.
The other side is property taxes, and obviously the county is somewhat limited in what they can do on that front.
As for carving out more affordable units in all those market rate apartment complexes being built right now,
I think that asking an owner, especially if the project's already in the pipeline, to convert to affordable is almost an impossible undertaking, because at that point they've already got their financing lined up, they've already got all the permitting and process, and just the infrastructure behind trying to change that would be, I think, almost logistically infeasible.
35% of Floridians rent their homes, and the number is only expected to rise. In order to keep up with the demand, Florida is going to need to add 669,391 rental units by 2030. That's roughly 47,814 each year. But in Orange County, including the city of Orlando, less than 1,200 affordable rentals are being added this year, a far cry from enough for now or the future.
Direct your attention to your packets.
That's why the Housing Task Force recommendations are so anxiously awaited.
Which is encouraging the development.
Tatum says whatever shakes out from their work, it will be actionable.
I think we'll see a number of things. I think one of the biggest, honestly, is going to be the county doing some internal reflection of its building codes and relaxing some of the more rigid requirements that don't have an impact on life safety or anything like that, but are just kind of old school mentality for building design, and so to make it a lot easier, especially for elected officials, to navigate the process of development and make sure that these projects come to fruition more quickly.
Fruits of labor are starting to be seen on that plot of land Wanda Welch has been waiting on. Crews began construction of her Habitat house in early September. On the journey, Wanda's sons have watched her work and sacrifice for this dream.
I know she's been doing sweat equity for these past few months on Saturdays. She's been basically working on other people's house. I think that's pretty great and a good way to help the community that we're going to be living by.
She can't wait until the day she finally gets the keys to her new home.
It's going to be so many different emotions because I have been trying to own my own home for so many years. So it's going to be so many different emotions, and to stop paying somebody else's mortgage but to pay my own mortgage. Oh my God. Like, I'm gonna shout, I'm gonna pray, I'm gonna praise God, I am gonna cry, I can't sing, but I'm gonna sing. Like, it is gonna be an amazing day.
We want you to suspend that reality because today, inside of those orange folders, you're going to take on a new role, a new personality.
What's it like to struggle? To be one of the thousands of people in Central Florida living with the daily pressure of poverty? We'll show you a local program bringing that reality to you with the hopes of opening eyes and minds. And later, we're catching the bus to learn more about how commuting and just getting around impacts those struggling to find affordable housing.
What's it like to be poor? Have you ever really thought about how you and your family might get by without what you have now? Poverty, unless you've lived it, is nothing like what you imagine. A program here in Central Florida is looking to change your perspective by having you experience what it's like not making ends meet. Adrienne Whitsett has more on what it's like to cope on a daily basis with housing you can't afford, low-wage jobs, and the fallout.
Tucked in a room while the AC struggles to keep up, we are about to experience what it's like to struggle.
It is nothing compared to what you're going to experience when you get inside.
Here at Apopka's First United Methodist Church, we're going to cope. The four letters stand for the Cost of Poverty Experience, a program run by the Central Florida Commission on Homelessness.
We're going to go ahead and let you guys in, all right?
In come the nearly 100 participants who are about to experience poverty. For 1 hour, they will live out a simulated life.
Can you follow those two young ladies right there?
It's designed to take those who have security and let them experience how the other half lives. Actually, it's 45%. That's how many families struggle to make ends meet. Volunteers will provide the services those struggling usually need: food assistance, shelter. But others you might not realize go hand in hand with being poor: the pawn shop, the check cashing service.
We want you to suspend that reality because today, inside of those orange folders, you're going to take on a new role, a new personality.
Grouped into families, some with children, some with illnesses, all living at or near the poverty line. They will experience what it's like to live that life for a month. Every 15 minutes of the program represents a week. The fast pace puts on the same pressure as real life.
You're in a minimum wage job, working full-time. You're making $17,597 in the year, and you still have to pay rent. So the average rent in Orange County is $12.45 per month.
So nearly half of all families will be left with just about $3,000 for the entire year to take care of food, clothes, cars, utilities. In the simulation, as in reality, fairness and equity aren't always in focus.
Also, pay your utility bills with me. If you want to keep these lights on, you got to come see me. I can provide a little bit of cash if you need a loan. If you're stuck on rent, I'm the guy to talk to.
Each situation is different.
Dominic needs medication for his ADHD, which he cannot afford. Jennifer has just found out that she is pregnant.
So let me see, what do we have here?
We follow Chrissia Capellas-Evans, who works for Florida Hospital Church. We watch as her folder reveals Chrissia's simulated family.
Father, mother, daughter, African American.
Dadgum, I can't read. I'm Marcus. Since you cannot read.
Oh, Marcus cannot read. He's too proud to let anyone know. Sophia's partially blind. She has an eye disease and at risk for losing sight completely. Margot, you did not graduate high school. You work part-time at a convenience store. Total monthly income for the household for both you and your husband is usually around $2,400.
They start out figuring out assets of their simulated family.
And a set of dishes, so just in case. Just in case we need to pawn them.
That's $125.
So I do need a report to County Human Services for something, to ask for a renewal application. Oh, so for public benefits, because we receive public benefits.
Week 1 begins. Everyone a bit unsure what to do first.
What's your family number?
19.
Everything costs either time or money, sometimes both.
How much is gas going to be? Because we're going to need more gas soon.
And you owe $50. Like I said, if it's not here in 20 minutes, then you stand to pay interest.
Okay.
And if this is closed, okay?
Be able to help you out if you don't have it. So other people are spending money on gas or bus passes. You're spending time.
Right off the bat, tough choices. Krizia has to decide if she goes to work.
And I'm cashing 2 of my checks. You wouldn't cash them last time, so if you can please.
Or spend time going to pay her rent and utilities. She chooses to make ends meet, ironically leaving the bills unpaid.
And then we just need to renew our public benefits application.
We need. Okay, I need this filled out.
Okay, thank you.
I got this.
I have 3 clients right now. I can only take 3 at a time. So once I get my next one, I'll be able to help you out.
Time moves so fast.
I'm sorry.
No.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
No! So do we come back with our application?
I'm sorry.
Okay. No, we
can give that to her.
Is it?
We're already here.
Week 2 begins, and the moderators make some changes.
There will be no school week 3, so you guys have to make sure you decide what to do with your kids, so you might get in trouble with the
I can't read.
All right, so we're going to give you guys
final
30
notice.
seconds to go ahead and decide what you're going to do for
Rent.
week 2, and then we'll do
We only have $400. Okay, let's go. We gotta get gas.
The group is getting different scenarios thrown at them. Right now, many are coming to get food. Only one family out of this entire group ate food for week 1. The rest took care of other bills, like keeping the lights on at home.
This is week 2, and we have 9 minutes left, 10 minutes left. So, and we haven't gotten any food. So you're gonna have to leave here, but drop this off on your way off. Take the car.
Okay.
Okay, good luck. You don't have enough time to go to work and then also go to like the agencies that you need to go to renew your public assistance. And then you have a daughter, you don't have enough time to pick her up, and then she has special needs, so it's very frustrating. And then you have penalties and then people who are rude. So it's just frustrating.
By the end of week 2, that frustration hits home.
No one has paid your utilities except for one person.
So we weren't able to pay our rent.
Ladies and gentlemen, week 2 is now over. Community services, please close. Everybody
We weren't able to get any
to
food.
your homes unless you
Literally, the time was spent waiting in line to get gas, cash our checks to get gas, and then I had to sit at work for the last 6 minutes.
They stopped free and reduced lunches.
If you are in,
Did you get assistance? What do we get?
$4.
As the 3rd week begins, the facilitators tell the crowd something about this simulation. The scenarios and the stories in the folders come from real families in Central Florida. They are living out some of the challenges thrown at real people daily. Some find themselves in jail, the lack of time or money keeping them from probation appointments. Others couldn't pay the bills and get evicted, while still searching for ways to keep their families fed.
Good luck. Come back when you got more money.
How am I gonna eat this?
I don't know, but you know, the shelter is over there, the church is over there. They may be able to help you with some money.
But many found the church pantry and the homeless shelter couldn't provide food. Payday loan and check cashing fees take away little pieces of what's left.
So I'm gonna give you $700 for this 734.
Okay, we gotta go.
No. Why won't he cash our check?
And then we're gonna do, oh man, all hundreds. Okay, so we're gonna do the 40 for gas.
Okay, it's gonna be 50 because you don't have anything less than 100.
Okay, but she cashed it.
So bad. Okay. So
on to the next frustrating situation.
So right after this, we have to run to get. Well, you have to keep working for 2 more minutes, so I'm gonna run to get the eviction thing taken care of.
And another one.
We have $800, which is exactly what we need for rent. But then we're not gonna eat. Oh man.
With week 4, many have learned the simulated system, able to navigate a bit better, but with differing results. Some lost it all and move into the shelter. Others served time. Even more, subdued under the weight of ever-shifting priorities, each one as, if not, more important than the one before.
Food is $600.
All right. So I'm going to give you your.
Oh my word.
For your family, healthy is $600, affordable is $450.
We'll do affordable.
You got $450?
Yeah.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, week 4 is now over.
With the simulation over, a collective moment to breathe and reflect, and to share what they take away.
She told us that free and reduced lunch had been taken away, so now we have to pay for lunch. But we look at school as a safe haven, so that was very frustrating. And kids today go through that every day.
You try to go get help, but it's so limited because there's so much waiting time, and then there's having to really be so vulnerable and let people know your situation, and then they're like, oh, there's a waiting list. Oh, I'm sorry. So I'm here pouring my situation in hopes that you will help me, but you're not.
My line of work, like sometimes I do work with those types of families, and they do have to make those decisions. And then I'm on the other side where I might be able to provide some type of like assistance, but then you can forget like why they're in that situation.
I'm really blessed, and I can't take things for granted and be more appreciative of what I do have.
For Crescia, like many others, more awareness that life doesn't always work the same for everyone.
You really can't plan ahead when you have to live that way. You really don't have the luxury of time to think about your future and think about your future goals. That was a real eye-opening experience for me.
Still ahead, we catch up with a homeless student who stole our hearts.
Getting into college is like one of the best things that could have happened.
But first,
if you miss the bus on the hour, you stuck and you have to wait another hour. Pretty tough.
Orlando's public transit is a lifeline to thousands, but the system is suffering. How these transportation troubles are hurting the working poor, and the latest idea to throw the system a lifeline.
Welcome back to Chronicle. There's a saying in real estate, location, location, location. For people on the lower end of the wage scale, the location they're looking for might surprise you. It's the nearest bus stop. Transportation is a huge factor in Central Florida's affordable housing crisis. The biggest public transit system in Central Florida is Lynx. It's been around in one form or another since 1972. 310 buses covering 2,500 square miles in Orange, Osceola, and Seminole counties, and small sections of Lake and Polk. 79,000 people ride the bus each weekday, more than 25 million passenger trips in 2018. And if you think I-4 is a transit headache, here's what life is like without a car.
Right now, I'm waiting on the bus.
Everyone who rides the bus waits on the bus. And when Lynx buses do finally show up, riders say it takes way too long to get where they're going.
At 10 p.m., when I get off, I have to wait 2 hours down here.
and then catch the bus back in the morning by a whole nother pass.
Mark Brown works at 2 Taco Bells, one in Haines City, the other here on US 192 in Kissimmee, commuting between the 2 on Lynx buses.
And just me commuting has been, hectic. I have to, panhandle for money sometimes. I'm struggling really bad.
It works good because I only take one bus. It only takes between 15 minutes to 30 minutes.
Jocelyn Zapata works at Embassy Suites Hotel on 192 and lives about a mile away in Kissimmee. She says Lynx has good and bad days. When she moved here 2 years ago, she worked much farther away near Walt Disney World.
You need them to be on time, so you have to be on time at work. So I could tell you that it's really good if you are not going too far. But if you're going far, that's different. In this moment, Lynx is working for me, but to achieve something more, I need a car.
If you miss the bus on the hour, you stuff, and you have to wait another hour. Pretty tough.
Donnell lives in Orlando and rides Lynx to and from work in Altamont Springs daily from 11 to 5.
How much time do you think you spend waiting on the bus?
It depends.
Sometimes it's just a few minutes, sometimes it's an hour or 2.
It's very difficult. And I'm having that experience now as we speak. Yes. See, I'm still waiting on the 106, and the 106 still didn't come.
There it is.
Yeah, there it is.
Okay.
All right.
Let's go. Let's let you go.
Story after story of life dictated by the bus schedule. If you've never done it, you probably don't realize how daunting the daily travel can be. So WESH 2 transportation reporter Jacqueline D'Agostino is going to show us.
We're here to ride the bus to give you an idea of what it's like for someone who does this every single day. So right now we're waiting for 106 at the Rosemont Superstop. We're going to take the 106 into downtown, transfer there, and then go to one of the largest employers here in Central Florida, Disney.
Our trip starts off with a slight delay.
Oh no, they don't never be on schedule.
We quickly learn from the frequent riders that's typical. The buses might be early, might be late, but on time, they say that's rare.
Y'all enjoy the ride.
Our bus rolls up at 10:50 a.m., about 5 minutes behind schedule.
We're getting on at the Rosemont Superstop, so here we go.
And then you guys told me you guys were headed to Disney, so I was like kind of surprised. That's a trip.
CJ Cruz is a frequent Lynx rider. He used to ride the bus from UCF to Disney for work. A 35 to 45 minute drive by car took CJ 2 to 3 hours by bus.
It depends if the buses want to run on time, if the traffic is decent. It just all depends on how many people are on the bus as well, and how many need to get off before you get off. So there's a lot of factors into it.
Multiple people on our bus mention how limited the routes are for people who work late or odd shifts.
Like I have friends of mine that had to take 2 buses just to get to work and then 3 buses to get back because the first bus they took no longer runs at that time. So it's kind of like just depends on where you are and where you live. In some cases, I've had to sleep in places where I've missed my bus. Like at UCF, I've had to sleep there once or twice.
You heard that right. Sleeping in random places because there's no bus to take home.
Thank you.
Thanks, have a good day.
30 minutes later, we're downtown, time to transfer and wait. The bus drivers need to change out, so we meet more riders.
My name is Jarvis Thompson, and I wrecked my car about a week ago in an unfortunate accident. Totaled my car out, so here I am 10 years later on the bus.
This East Orlando native is a restaurant manager on the west side of town.
Honestly, tonight I'm going to work until 1 a.m. I will probably walk out of my restaurant at about 1:15. The last bus will have ran at 12:15. So I'm forced to now find a ride with a coworker all the way back to my side of the world, which is here in East Orlando, and working in, I guess, West Orlando it is.
Now we're currently on the 50 heading toward Disney Springs. We waited about 15 minutes at the stop downtown just while they were changing bus drivers. And from that time that we actually got to that stop to right now has been about 35 to 36 minutes.
Between the stops, transfers, and extra time adding up, navigating the bus can be a job in itself.
Because I spend almost an extra 7 hours a week in commuting car. So now it's going to turn into like 20. So my scheduled 50-hour week turns into 70 plus.
This So now we're finally approaching our stop. I think our total time now, we're not technically off yet, is like just at an hour and a half. So getting from Rosemont to downtown, again, that was about 30 minutes, but this leg of the trip has been pretty much about a solid hour, and people are telling us that this is a good day. So even on a good day, it's taking about an hour and a half total, and we're not even really there yet.
And while our trip today has been relatively smooth,
I'm waiting to see what tomorrow is.
But it's been pleasant, but it's still been like not a challenge, but it's still been a process. You know?
we finally make it to Disney Springs at 12:39 p.m. Our total trip time, an hour and 49 minutes. If we had driven, the 21-mile trip would have taken about 35 minutes.
I miss having a car.
We've spent a lot of money on our roads, but we haven't spent a comparable amount on our transit, our Sunrail and our Lynx.
Orlando's transportation troubles are getting the attention of more than just frustrated bus riders. The League of Women Voters of Orange County just conducted a study of the area's transit network. It gave transportation a D letter grade, saying the biggest failure has been the absence of progress toward a regional transportation vision and dedicated source of funding. Theo Webster and Todd Weaver helped write the study.
How much of this do you think people don't know?
I think people don't know a lot.
Running an operating budget of more than $142 million, there's actually no dedicated funding source for Lynx. Money comes from the 3 counties Lynx serves, plus the city of Orlando, rider revenue, and then state and federal monies. And every year, those figures can vary. Lynx admits its buses don't run often enough, there aren't enough of them, it doesn't run around the clock, and on weekends, service is reduced.
I live in Winter Park. I live 2 miles from the Sunrail station, and if I were to take a Lynx bus, I have to make 2 transfers to go 2 miles. So there's a lot of coordination that needs to happen, but without the funding and without the extra buses and manpower, we're just not going to solve that.
The league study warns if Central Florida intends to thrive and compete for corporate headquarters and better paying jobs in the coming years, it must get serious about helping residents and visitors connect cost effectively and seamlessly to their destinations. And that is something that resonates with people who might not need to take the bus. Enter Orange County Mayor Jerry Demings. He wants voters to approve raising the sales tax by a penny, with the money going to improve transportation. That penny tax is projected to bring in over $630 million, 40% coming from tourists.
Tourism job shifts generally aren't 8 to 5. They can be all night long. And we've heard stories of people sleeping in the break rooms at some of the theme park venues, and I think that's sad.
Transportation and housing go hand in hand. Rider after rider told us how their housing options are at the mercy of getting to and from work. That has a crushing effect on finances. The Housing and Transportation Affordability Index shows households in the Orlando region pay 53% of their income toward housing and transportation, well above the index's benchmark at 45%. The League of Women Voters report says inefficient transportation means less money and time for families.
I catch the 4:15. That's pretty much the first bus that runs. And if I miss that one, I'll actually be late.
Edward Anderson lives in the Paramore neighborhood and catches the first bus every morning to get to his job in Altamont Springs. Today, he and his family rode the bus to celebrate Edward's birthday. He used to live closer to his job, but says Lynx service was so unreliable, he moved farther away near a more reliable route.
I catch the 102 and get off in Winter Park. Get in Winter Park, catch the number 23. That's a daily routine, 2 buses a day.
The theory is you make transportation better. You give people back time, saving them money. Extra money they could put toward housing, bills, food. And all of that may ride on a vote about a penny.
Because you're not going to pass a penny sales tax if you don't get people on board and you're not providing them with something that they think they need.
Millions of dollars dedicated to affordable housing diverted again. Later, we take a closer look at why the Florida legislature keeps shortchanging progress when it comes to affordable housing. But next,
we have to do what we have to make sure that he's taken care of.
He's our main focus.
the work to keep children thriving while families struggle. What it's like to live in and then leave one of those local motels keeping families from absolute homelessness.
The end of summer is often a welcome time for families, with children getting back into the routine of school. For kids who don't have a stable home, the structure and support of the classroom can be a lifesaver. Homeless children face some incredible odds brought on by the stress of their family situation. Matt Lupoli introduces another family living on the edge as we catch up with a familiar and inspiring face.
Having a room by myself isn't too bad.
Johnny Fluid, at just 18 years old, has come to count on change. The biggest in his life right now, starting college.
Getting to live with someone that you barely know or don't know yet, not entirely new to me.
We first introduced you to Johnny back in April. Duly enrolled in high school and Daytona State College, he was not your typical teen, and certainly not your average homeless kid. Johnny somehow was thriving just as much as surviving. Now he's graduated both programs and experiencing his story as a freshman at Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University. A big thing for a young man who spent most of his life in flux.
I've transitioned from a lot of different areas. I've transitioned from different families, transitioned between living with different friends, living in different situations, sometimes even just being on myself more general. And just moving into the dorm is just like moving again. It's not that big of a change.
Living on campus, Johnny's got a roommate now after spending summer by himself, getting an early start on his engineering major.
Getting into college is like one of the best things that could have happened.
And now as other students his age settle into similar routines, to be more self-reliant, he can settle into becoming one of the rest.
When I was younger, I wasn't thinking about college too much. In my head, it was always like, college is so far away, and that's if I even make it to that point.
Which is understandable, given the odds against children struggling with homelessness. Right now in Florida, there are almost 8,000 unaccompanied youth. These are kids like Johnny when we met him, without family and on their own. Then there are kids with families, but no place to call home.
At first, he was always, "Mama, when is we going home?" I mean, the motel, you know, and it was kind of depressing. That's not how we wanted to raise him.
This is Adrian. He's in second grade. He lives with his dad and aunt and uncle and his grandparents, Alicia and James Swanson. 3 generations who, until just recently, shared one hotel room.
It's very depressing to the point where anxieties would kick in, and if it's stress, causes a lot of problems as far as the families. But me and my family, we had to remain strong in order to get through, but it's hard.
Between stores and restaurants with colorful cartoon-like signs out to catch the eyes of people making their way to Disney World are hotels hosting countless other families, making a home out of just about 300 square feet.
Every hotel all up and down 192 are full of families.
The Swansons moved to Kissimmee from Chicago in the hope of making a better, happier life here, just like so many others.
Once upon a time, we came here on vacation, and we liked it, and we was like, one day we're gonna move there. And so we did. Well, we came here with a plan, come find work, you know, but it didn't work out like that.
They spent more than $1,000 every month for a room at an extended stay hotel, finding themselves in too close quarters and yet struggling still to keep even those 4 walls around them. For the Swansons, living this way made any moment of escape necessary, so long as it didn't cost.
We go to Kissimmee Lakefront, I go fishing. We can be the brokest people on ever. We just walk around Old Town, you know, as long as we all together. I mean, we're a little bit more happy, you know, when we together. I mean, keep ourselves together and keep ourselves sane.
After several years living without a kitchen, without privacy, in just the past few weeks, the Swansons have been settling into a new place, now that they believe they can manage a $1,400 a month rental.
More room instead of one little square box, but it's still rough. Like in a hotel, you don't have to pay bills. Light bill, water bill, none of that. Right. We moved out, like I said, we've been having it rough since we moved out. Like, they just cut our lights off the other day, okay? Because I was off work for a little while. I have gout, and that stops me from working. I can't walk for like weeks at a time. And I'd be so scared to even miss work. When I do catch gout, I go. I barely can walk, but I have to go. Because if I miss any days, I have to pay my rent. And that's not, landlords, they don't want partial, they want it all, so I gotta go.
The Swanson family's world, of course, is centered on Adrian.
We have to make sure that he's taken care of.
Yep, he's our main focus.
The newest numbers from the University of Florida's Schimberg Center for Housing Studies finds almost 96,000 kids in the state are homeless. That number has gone up more than 25,000 in 5 years. The study finds Florida's affordable housing shortage the root cause of student homelessness.
Even though the struggles now is still hard, a lot of times I tell my husband it seems like I don't see how we're going to make it. And we might wind up back into a hotel, but
I'm not trying to.
The Swansons say they're not alone in their work to keep a roof over their heads. They're grateful for the support they've been shown by people at the Community Hope Center in Kissimmee.
They done helped us with food, clothing. They done helped us with everything.
The Community Hope Center brings together social service agencies and its own resources for families who need help. Many of the people they see here every day live in hotels.
But if you drive down 192 on a school day morning, you can watch the buses, one after the other, stopping and picking up kids streaming out of these hotels.
Will Cooper helps run the Community Hope Center. He says it's no mystery the biggest obstacle most working families face is the cost of housing.
Our average client is paying $1,100 a month for a hotel room. That's apartment money. Or a lot of times they don't have the $3,000 they need as a household to pay for deposit, first month's rent, last month's rent, utilities turning on.
Now, Will tells us the center is working to expand in a way that will hopefully close some of the housing gap here in Kissimmee.
This property we stand on, it's about 5.5 acres.
On what was the property of an old church, plans are being finalized to build a new Community Hope Center. Along with a new service center will be 4 5-floor buildings with affordable apartments. It will all be built by the Hope Center, with some volunteered services, but with no government money.
One of the biggest heartbreaks for us is that you look at these hotels and motels, and there's just no place for children to run and play and
the
gather.
hope is the apartments here will be better homes for families and a place where they can build up rental history. Will says sometimes not having a physical address can hurt the chance of getting one.
When you came here the first time that we talked about our program.
That's why the Hope Center works to clear whatever hurdles it has the means to. Some may seem small, but in reality are big barriers, like getting an ID card.
You've got to have your birth certificate, proof of Social Security, and proof of address. If you've been moving around from hotel to hotel, or if you're out in the streets, like keeping all those paper documents nice and protected is very difficult. Without the piece of plastic that most of us have in our pocket, you can't get a real paying job, you can't rent an apartment, you can't get your prescriptions.
As work continues plotting out all that will be needed here at the site of the future Community Hope Center,
we want this to be a reflection of the community.
Families like the Swansons are figuring out how to make it and meet their needs day by day, and for some, hour by hour.
A lot of the jobs, they're still at minimum wage, which is less than $9 an hour. The cost of living seems like it's steady going up. Somewhere we have to be met, like right in the middle somewhere, if we're going to be able to keep up.
You can only get so much help. You have to put forth effort yourself as well, trying to make things happen. It's going to take a while, but we're going to get there.
Billions of dollars meant to manage the affordable housing crisis are gone. We take a closer look at how this money is collected, where it comes from, and why, year after year, it ends up elsewhere.
Affordable housing is not a new struggle for Florida. The issue dates back decades. So does a financial plan to help ease the squeeze this type of real estate puts on local governments. We've talked about it here on Chronicle before, the Sadowski Trust Fund.
All right. Back in 1992, lawmakers and members of the housing community came together to create a funding source meant to help communities build homes that working folks could afford. The Sadowski Fund. And it's funded by you. Here's how it works. From just about every real estate transaction that happens in Florida, from buying a house to refinancing a mortgage, on every transaction, you pay a documentary stamp tax. 10 cents of that doc stamp tax goes into the Sadowski Affordable Housing Trust Fund. That money is supposed to go to counties and cities to create affordable housing. But here's the rub. The legislature can't seem to keep its hands off Sadowski. Anytime they can't balance the budget, which they are legally obligated to do, lawmakers move to raid the Sadowski piggy bank. In the past 15 years, about $2 billion have been swept from Sadowski and affordable housing to wherever the budget wasn't balanced. And it happened again with the budget passed earlier this year. Despite being in the middle of this housing epidemic, the legislature swept $125 million out of the Sadowski Trust Fund for fiscal year 2019-2020. That's more than half the money in the fund. Here's a breakdown of how much money each county would have received to help create affordable housing versus what it actually got. It's a lot of numbers, but we've done the math. And with the exception of Flagler County, every county in Central Florida is getting about 1/5 of the money it should have. Look at the breakdown. Orange County should have received more than $10 million. It got $1.8 million. Volusia County, slated for more than $4 million, received $812,000. Marion County, budgeted for more than $2.6 million, but only gets $583,000. This is money local governments get to use to deal with affordable housing issues in their communities, our communities. In total, Central Florida counties were due more than $31 million of Sadowski funding. They got just 20.5% of that.
Every year, the fate of hundreds of millions of dollars in affordable housing relief is tied to the passage of a bill by the Florida legislature. The bill mandates that money collected and deposited into the Sadowski Fund will be used in the spirit in which it was collected, helping communities get people into homes they can afford.
But year after year after year, Sadowski money has been siphoned away and spent wherever legislators can't balance the budget, rated like it's a rainy day piggy bank. We wanted to know why this money can't seem to make it where it's supposed to go.
The bills designating that Sadowski only go to affordable housing last year were sponsored in the House by Renee Placencia and Senate by Debbie Mayfield. Both represent Central Florida districts. Neither were able to talk with us for this story. After being filed, Placencia and Mayfield's bills then moved along to committees. For the House, it was Transportation and Tourism Appropriations Subcommittee. On the Senate side, Community Affairs. There, the bills should have been discussed and debated, except it doesn't look like there was any debate. According to records from the House and Senate subcommittees, these bills sat. We wanted to ask members of those committees who represent Central Florida why no action was taken on them. We contacted the offices of Representative David Smith and Senator David Simmons. Neither were available before our program went into production. So back to the bills. Late on April 30th, the House and Senate reached a budget deal. By law, the two chambers must have a balanced budget. They accomplished that in part by spending money earmarked for affordable housing elsewhere, which brings us to where we are today, with Central Florida counties getting just 20% of the money due them.
We're on the verge of a new legislative session, a fresh chance for Florida lawmakers to resist raiding the Sadowski Fund and let it do what it's intended, to help provide homes. And if you think they should do that, then tell them. Phone calls, emails, or a good old-fashioned letter in the mail telling lawmakers hands off Sadowski money is a great start. As for us, our year-long look at Central Florida's affordable housing crisis continues next month. We have some big updates coming for you on the people we featured this year, and hopefully some progress to report on ideas to boost the amount of affordable housing. For the WESH 2 Chronicle team, thanks for joining us.